Hey, Archie, I'm thinking about downsizing and I'm wondering, are there things that I shouldn't do?
Well, Rob, there are some don't do's and there are some do do's. I'm Archie Hoxton.
And I'm Rob Hoxton.
And this is Last Paycheck, weekly wisdom to help you retire and stay that way. Well, welcome back to the Last Paycheck Podcast, brought to you by Hoxton Planning and Management. We're your hosts, CFP professionals Archie Hoxton and Rob Hoxton. And today we're going to talk to you about downsizing. This is something that we often see retirees looking to do, people that are planning for retirement. Sometimes it's actually a cornerstone element of a retirement plan. So we want to talk to you because there's a lot to think about, and there's things to do, things to not to do, and then we'll kind of talk about the reasons why people do it. Then also get into some of the nitty gritty on how it's done properly.
It seems like it's a hot topic. And right now, I would say in the last couple of weeks, Archie, I know that you've had at least one client. I've had 5 clients come to me and to say, hey, we're downsizing. We found the house. We're buying in next week or 2 weeks from now. I'm like, oh my gosh, how are we going to get all this done? But yeah, so it seems to be a hot topic right now. And of course, the real estate market is still on fire. And, so it's, I think this is a great topic to talk about for people as they get closer to retirement.
Yeah. There's so many financial reasons to think about this. Like I said, it can be a cornerstone of a financial plan. Mostly because for most people, your home equity is one of your largest, if not your largest asset when you retire, especially in the last few years with home prices that have just gone through the roof. It could be that you're sitting on a pretty big pile of home equity that you want to access to create retirement income for yourself. So maybe you sell the house and buy something that's half the cost and then invest the rest of it. Bam, you just, maybe increased your nest egg by 50 or 25% or whatever.
Or, one of the things that I'm seeing as well is, and there are different reasons that people want to do it. Sometimes it's because they want to downsize and have less to take care of. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's because they want to move into a retirement community where they have less to take care of, and maybe they have some promises of care as they age. Another is because they want to live maybe closer to a child, one of their adult children and grandchildren. I think that's a great idea. As someone who lives close to grandchildren, it's a lot of fun. But there are a lot of considerations, and sometimes downsizing in terms of the size of the house doesn't always result in downsizing financially. It really depends on where you're going.
Yeah, you could move to an inexpensive area to an expensive area, cut your square footage in half, but not really pull any equity out because you're, roughly breaking even on the prices of the homes.
It's especially true if you still have a mortgage, because you may go from having a low interest rate to a higher interest rate. You might get less house, but have a higher payment.
Right.
A lot of considerations. This is why we always like to say, talk to your financial planner a little bit ahead of schedule before you've already found that next house. And, those are emotional transactions. I get it. It's like, oh wow, this is the kind of house we've always wanted to have. Let's make sure we don't miss out on this transaction.
Yeah, and because you need some lead time. So if you take a scenario, like let's say you found the place, you've got your closing in 3 days, and you go to your financial advisor, and you say, I need this much money for this closing. And maybe you still have your current house. You've really pigeonholed yourself in that case. You've basically given yourself one option, and that's to take a withdrawal from your portfolio, which may have extremely adverse tax implications. Maybe not as bad. If it's an IRA, that's pretty costly. If it's not, maybe it's not so much. But you've really only given yourself one solution to this problem of, kind of bridging the gap between having this house, buying this house, and not quite selling this one yet.
Yeah.
And having that extra cash.
Yeah, and it's a temporary need for that cash, right? So if you're going to sell your existing house, and you're going to buy a new house, but you get the order mixed up, meaning you buy the new house before you've sold the existing house, then you have this big chunk of money that you need. You may only need it for a month or two, but because you got to have that as cash, and you're going to pay the taxes regardless.
Yeah. Well, and if your capital gain on the house exceeds $500,000, if you're married, which is the exclusion amount, and you sell investments to sort of bridge the gap, you're paying capital gains in two places when you really could, with some advanced planning ahead, you really only need to pay it in one place, right? On the house. And you can use other funds to bridge this gap.
Such as, what type of loans would you use in that case?
So you could use a couple different types that we commonly see. Probably most commonly we'd see a home equity loan if you're really downsizing and you don't have a mortgage on your current home. You could borrow against your home equity to finance the purchase of this house, sell this one, pay off the home equity, and do whatever else with the balance.
Right. So that's probably going to be a home equity line of credit, rather than the more restrictive home equity loan, I guess.
Right. You want the most flexibility.
Both are home equity loans, but one of them has more flexibility than the other. Okay.
Another would be basically using if you have a brokerage account. This doesn't apply to IRAs, but if you have a brokerage account, getting a collateral loan, a line of credit, again, line of credit, super flexible. You can open it up and then take money when you need it pretty quickly. You can have that against the value of your brokerage account.
We have a lot of clients who have done this in the past, and we look at it as sort of a short-term loan, sort of a bridge, as you put it. The cool thing about it is that your financial advisor, if they have a relationship with one of these lenders, can do all the paperwork. You can sign electronically. The longest I've ever seen it take is 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes a little less, but basically 2 weeks. And you have access to that liquidity for the temporary need, and you didn't sell and realize capital gains on your taxable brokerage account. Now, you can never use your IRA as collateral on any kind of loan.
Right.
But this is a great way potentially to do it.
So you didn't realize the capital gains on the brokerage account and the capital gains on the house. You also were able to leave your money invested in the market, so you're not missing out on potential opportunities. Say, for example, you buy this new house with money from your brokerage account. You take money out, you pay capital gains, and now that money is no longer invested in growing. Maybe it takes you a while to sell your house. And so you're sitting on two houses. You've got the cost of both houses, and a big chunk of your brokerage account isn't in there earning and working for you. So there's an opportunity cost to that. Whereas with the loan, your cost is the interest. Mm-hmm. You still may end up owing capital gains on the sale of the first house, but your money is still working for you and you're not realizing those capital gains. But again, like you said, 2 weeks, you need to give yourself at the minimum that kind of time. You can open these lines of credit up and then kind of let them be for a little while you're looking and not draw anything out of them. Hey guys, Archie here. If you're thinking about downsizing or making some other really big, important financial decision in your life, you should check out our Freedom Score quiz. It's free of charge, and what it is, it's a quiz that helps you understand how prepared you are for big financial decisions and like especially retirement and achieving financial freedom. It's free on our website. You go to hoxtonpm.com, click resources, and then Freedom Score. Check it out, take the quiz, get a better sense of where you stand financially, and hopefully have the confidence to make those big decisions.
Archie, I encountered last week a client that had a house that they wanted to buy, and they had a house that they needed to sell. And they were worried that if they put a contract on the house that they wanted to buy that was contingent upon the sale of their existing home, they were afraid that they would lose the contract, that they would be booted out by somebody that came along with a contract that didn't have that contingency. And that's a reality of this real estate market, I think, because it's moving very fast. I suggested that they talk to their banker, because this particular client did not have a large taxable brokerage account that they could use to establish a securities-backed line of credit. I suggested that they talk to their banker about getting a line of credit on another piece of real estate. And so they did. They immediately called and got that process going. And lo and behold, I got a phone call over the weekend where they said, we had the strangest experience with our banker. The banker said that they could loan most of what we needed based on the equity in our other property, but they could loan more if they brought their IRA over. And it's an IRA that we manage. And so I was immediately a little bit suspicious, because knowing that you can't use an IRA as collateral for any kind of loan, as we began to talk, I actually talked to the lender, who actually, it turns out, was part of the bank's wealth management group. I got the distinct impression that what he was doing, what he was engaging in, is an activity called tying, which is against banking regs, where they were trying to force their client to move assets to the bank in order to get the loan.
In order to get also a lower interest rate.
And in this case, a lower interest rate as well. So I don't know whether that's what was going on, but they were really flying along that fine line of business, tactics. But these are things you need to be aware of. Does your lender, do they put some unreasonable requirements on you? In this case, are you going to put a whole bunch of money with them? They're going to pay you a much lower rate. It was less than 1% than what the market rate is, but it was going to save you a quarter of a percent on the loan, the short-term loan. Well, it didn't make sense for the client. So that banker, in this case, wasn't behaving as a fiduciary. I don't know whether they have a fiduciary duty or not. Most financial planners, at least we do. It wasn't in the client's best interest. I pointed that out, and they went a different direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's just another, when you're getting into, again, this is why I think time and planning ahead is so important. It would be easy to feel rushed and just say, okay, let's do it, and end up missing out on, if the interest rate that you're going to get on your deposits that you have there is less than what you get in the market, and the interest rate concession that's made, which would be not good business practice and potentially not legal, doesn't make up for that, then you're losing money, and even though it feels like you're actually getting ahead. So these are things that if you slow down, take your time with big financial transactions, I always say just give yourself enough time.
Right. That's great advice. Slow down, because I got this client got the distinct impression that because of the pressure that they felt like they were under to make a transaction happen quickly so they would get the house, they felt like maybe they were being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
another quick consideration I want to throw in here before we wrap up is when you're downsizing, I think a lot of things, one thing people don't think about is if you're going to be here permanently, take into consideration what it's going to be like when you're much older and maybe not as mobile, maybe need some help or some care, whether that's in-home. Things like, could you live on the first floor of this house and have everything you need? You've got your kitchen, you've got bedroom, you've got bathroom, you've got easy way to get in and out of the house. One level living, basically. That's something to think about if you're planning to stay there for the rest of your life. Another is like, look at the options nearby for these retirement communities where you can kind of step up in care levels. It's kind of a baked in social environment. I mean, a lot of people find them to be really fun places to live. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to make another move later in life when you're really struggling and you have to rely on the help of family so much. Take that into consideration, because that can be a great way to downsize, get rid of maintenance, get rid of extra costs. Your whole life is kind of like, it's like almost like when you go to college, and everything, you got your meal plan, you got your place where you live, you got your activities. That's really something to think about as you're making these decisions for downsizing and big.
Everybody's in the same boat, so it's easy to make friends.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, remember when you first, if you went to college, every other freshman was in exactly the same boat, and so you made friends. Mm-hmm. And, in my case, some of those friends I made are still very close friends 40 years later. I mean, it's just, so it's not a terrible thing at all. And your financial advisor can help you navigate the buy-in to those types of communities, because sometimes there's a buy-in. So it is like this downsizing transaction that we've been talking about in this episode. There's a financial component to it.
Yeah. Well, I think that pretty much covers all we've got time for. There's obviously more to this. So if you have questions, leave us a comment. You can always set up time or email us, set up time to talk if you're kind of in the situation. And we've had a few great ideas for episodes. We're left in the comments. We love that. We'd love to hear what you all want us to talk about. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with your family and friends, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. You've been watching Last Paycheck, weekly wisdom to help you retire and stay that way. If you like this show, be sure to hit like and subscribe. Last Paycheck is available anywhere you get your podcasts.